everyone, those who have joined today. I, Prerna, welcome you all. Himanshu, Kirti, Nippu, Pallavi, Pratiksha, Priyanka Shukla, Rashmi, Ritanshu, and Saurav. And today, as we all are aware with the motion, that what is the motion of this particular debate, today we are going to talk about the golden period in the history of India, that is the Gupta age. As already mentioned, let me just give you a brief introduction of today's topic. This house believed that Gupta age was not a golden period, or it should not be considered a golden age in the history of India. Friends, if you look at this perspective, or if you look at this particular topic, then there are different dimensions to it. On the one hand, there are some experts, and I think it's all about historiography, from which point of view the history has been written. So there are many critics, and especially they are British scholars. They believed that in order to eulogize, we have different kind of preciosities, just to praise our own history. We have called it a golden age, and then we started comparing. But nothing was like that golden in this particular age. So some believe that. On the other hand, our Indian historians and different other experts, across the globe, they also believe that this particular age, Gupta age, it is full with remarkable achievements in the field of education, literature, art and architecture, science and technology, and in different many other fields. So this should be considered a remarkable age in the history of India. This is what others believe. So today we are just going to we will just cover different dimensions and aspects related to this particular issue. It has been one of the most debated topic in the history of India, whether Gupta age should be a golden age, or it should be considered a golden age or not. So I should just want to start by taking by knowing your sides. So Kirti, what will be your side?
एक्चुअली मैंने प्रिपेयर नहीं करा है तो आज मैं लिसनर ही हूँ.
Okay, okay, fine. You will be listener. Fine. Nippu, your side?
Sorry, I have no idea.
Okay, fine. You can be a spectator. No issues. Pallavi Gupta, what will be your side? Against or favor? Am I audible, Pallavi?
Yeah, Prerna, yeah, you are audible.
Okay, okay. Maybe some network issue she is might having. Okay, Sonam Prajapati, what will be your side? Okay, maybe.
हेलो,
Yes,
आवाज आ रही है
yes. Yes, yes, you
मुझे
are
अभी
audible.
जस्ट तुमने मैसेज किया तब मुझे पता चला इस डिबेट के बारे में, तो मैंने कुछ प्रिपेयर नहीं किया है, सो आई एम आल्सो लिसनर.
Okay, fine. I mean, in the second round, you can present whatever you know. Like being the history student, many of us have some idea about that. Fine.
ओके.
Ritanshu Barnwal, what would be your side?
No, I have joined as a listener today.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, so friends, first of all, let me elaborate the rules of this debate. We have two rounds, and in the first round, what you are expected to do, either in the favor of the motion or against the motion, you just have to put your point of view, and you will be allotted 3 minutes for that. So in a specific time interval of 3 minutes, you have to present your argument in a precise manner, and then you have to conclude with some particular conclusion. Then we will directly switch into the second round, and in the second round this platform will be open, where you would be free to just counter question your opponent. Even you can question whatever ideas, inputs you have in your mind, you can put it. So that will be done in the second round itself. Fine. So let me start this with someone who is in the favor of the motion. I think Pratiksha, you are in favor.
Yes, Prerna, I'm in favor of this motion.
Okay, okay, you can start. Rashmi, just put the timer so that she will be able to see that.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So, good evening, guys. Myself, Pratiksha Shukla, and I will be speaking in support of today's motion. That is, Gupta period being a golden age is a myth. A worthy man once said, "There are as many histories as there are historians," and this holds true in the case of Gupta period. We fail to see the shortcomings in various periods that prove that Gupta period was not an ideal period at all. Some historians mention that life was never happier than in Gupta period. But as the Marxist historians point out, one should not forget that Gupta period or the Gupta age was also the beginning of feudal age. Land grants became important and ownership of the land was favored. There was a lot of class differentiation, and it was only that rich who enjoyed. Serfdom was born, and poor peasantry suffered under debts and burden of castes. Caste differentiation was further strengthened and stressed upon. Some people, like Chandelas, came into existence, which was rightly mentioned in a PDF provided by the host, and they were the outcasters. They were lower than Shudras. Peasantry was it was led into economic bondage. There was no bureaucracy, and not even a single professional strong army was maintained. Basically, vassals were given the responsibility to provide military support in the time of need. The law almost always favored the rich and the most powerful, that is, the higher caste. Women became an item of property and came to live in perpetual tutelage of men. Even though they were idolized in art and literature, they had no property rights. The practice of sati was initiated. Even if we look at the trade carefully, we notice that long distance trade actually declined during this period. It is true that gold coins were used, but it might be that gold was so easily available that it was not considered a precious metal. The modern historians also question the cultural achievement of this period, saying that cultural achievement of Maurya period are easily comparable to those of the Gupta period. Yet why is the Gupta period only highlighted? Picking up on the literature aspect, enough stress has been given on Sanskrit literature, but people often forget to notice the great achievements made, the great strides made in Prakrit language. Why is Sanskrit given supremacy? It is only given supremacy for the convenience of nationalist historians. I would like to conclude by saying that Gupta period could have been a golden age, but only for the rich people. But then one can easily argue that each and every age is a golden age for rich and few, but not for all the masses. The fact that India had a golden past might have been provided to give comfort to the nationalist and provide them with something to fight, but this is no longer the need of the present century. We should carefully question the factors that make Gupta period the golden age and think whether it should be truly labeled as one. More or less, the golden age of people do not lie in the history. It is not in our past, but in our future, and we should work towards it. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Pratiksha. It was very tremendous speech. You have spoken very well. And the most important thing that you have tried to cover all the stakeholders in the society, like what was the condition of women, culture. Okay, so this is what we are expecting from our debaters. That's great. And you have ended with a conclusion. Okay, now let me ask someone who is going to speak in against the motion. They believe that it was the golden age of Indian history, Gupta period especially. So, anyone would like to put your views? I mean, whatever you know from your history subject, if someone has this point of view or opinion, you can. This is an open platform. So, there should not be any hesitation. Just put your arguments. Okay, welcome Sarah, Ekta, and Arpita, three new more participants. What will be your side? May I know? Am I audible?
Yes, actually, I did not join as a participant. I just wanted to see how the debate is functioning as a spectator for today to get some idea, and I'd be participating from the next events.
Okay, okay, all the best for the next event. Okay, so I should, I mean, conclude that there is no one who believed that Gupta age was a golden age. Okay, I think then we should switch into second round. If you have some questions, then you can ask. Or any discussion you want on this topic. Okay, friends, can anyone tell me, or you just want to explain, like, what should be the criteria for something to be called a golden age? Like, why historians believe, even some Indian historian, that it was a golden age on the basis of, like, we have some marvelous, architectural, uh, just achievements in the field of Gupta age, especially, and also because of Samudragupta, a ruler in 4th century AD, when he combined India, जो एक भारतवर्ष का कॉन्सेप्ट था, इंडिया वाज यूनिफाइड एज अ टेरिटोरियल यूनिट फॉर द two times in the history of India. Once during the rule of Ashoka, Mauryan ruler Ashoka, and second during the time of Samudragupta. So it should also be considered, if we look from the political point of view, there was no foreign attack and all this thing. Everything was settled. Everyone was very, most of the people are prosperous. So it should be called a golden age. Cannot someone believe on these facts?
But these achievements were made in a particular sphere, in a very like in the case of administration or architecture or literature. Yeah, in that particular sphere there was a marvelous development. There was strides that were taken, which when we compare with the other dynasty, they were not so good. But again, when we compare the shortcomings of that period in other factors like this, the ones I mentioned, like in the social sphere, or when it comes about talking about women or any other thing, then we can compare it both. That even if they made great strides in administrative reigns, in other aspects they lacked a lot of things that were required, and that's why we cannot say that it was a golden period in general.
Okay, Pratiksha, then I just want to, it was my point of view. I just want to let you know all that. We always say that India was Sone ki chidiya, this kind of term that we always use. So when we say this term, Sone ki chidiya, then it means that for a long span of time. Then what was the time when India was a Sone ki chidiya? Like, we have Gupta era, we have Mauryan era. So in all Indian societies, nobody, even today, we cannot say that something is like golden. It's a very hypothetical concept. So today, like, nobody is completely satisfied. If I talk about all sections of people, still we have worker class, they are very depressed, they have certain problems. So this will happen in all ages. So cannot we say that, like, the kind of development in the field of literature, like Kalidas, he has made marvelous contribution in the field of literature. So on the basis of some parameter, can't we say that some ages are considered as golden? Otherwise, broadly speaking, we cannot say anything as golden.
But the topic of today's debate, that it is mentioned very specifically that Gupta period was a golden age. If the words would be that Gupta period is a golden age for in case of literature or in the field of arts and literature, then it would have made more sense. Now coming back to the point that India was a Sone ki chidiya, so it is not mentioned कि वो सोने की चिड़िया, it was in all the aspects. It is usually mentioned for the availability of raw material, for the trade, for the culture that was done during in the ancient times, and the lot of potentials that Western people saw in India, the investment potential that they saw and which lured them in. That is the main reason why it was, according to me, I think, is called Sone ki chidiya.
Okay, fine. Okay, so anyone else have some question, like generally as a student, or anything like you want to add on? So you all are welcome. Like, whatever you know about this Gupta era, any dimension you want to add on. Ekta, Kirti, Nippu, and Rashmi, Sara, Saurav, Sonam, anyone of you can.
हाँ प्रेरणा, तो मैं इसमें ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि मुझको ऐसा लगता है कि गोल्डन एज कहना सही नहीं है गुप्ता पीरियड को। तो उसका रीजन ये है क्योंकि जैसे कि परीक्षा ने अभी बताया, तो वही उससे मैं एग्री करती हूँ, क्योंकि अगर आप एक स्पेसिफिक स्फेयर में सिर्फ डेवलपमेंट कर रहे हैं तो उससे गोल्डन कह देना सही नहीं है बिल्कुल। ऐसा लगता है फिर आप उस चीज को बहुत ज्यादा महत्व दे रहे हैं ना। फिर वुमेन राइट्स का क्या, और जो लोग शोषित वर्ग है उनका क्या, तो उनके बारे में भी आपने नहीं सोचा। आपने गोल्डन एज उसको कह दिया ना, आर्किटेक्चर बहुत अच्छा है तो वो गोल्डन हो गया, उसके अलावा और चीजें आपने देख ली, डेवलपमेंट है तो वो बहुत ज्यादा कीमती हो गया आपके लिए। तो ये भी तो है ना कि आप वैल्यू किस चीज को दे रहे हैं। इंसानों को तो महत्व दे नहीं रहे हैं और फिर उस पे आप जा रहे हैं हाँ वो अच्छी चीज है कि आपने उसमें तरक्की करी, लेकिन गोल्डन एज कह देना ये नहीं सही है। हाँ उस स्पेयर में आप कह सकते हैं कि उन्होंने बेहतर किया, वो अच्छी चीज है। तो मैं इससे बिल्कुल मतलब एग्री नहीं करती हूँ कि हम लोगों को उसे गोल्डन कहना चाहिए।
Okay, fine. So anyone would like to against or they want to present their opinion against the motion? Or those who want to support the nationalist sentiment of Indian historian, like why they have called it a golden. Was it a propaganda, like Britishers against the Britisher to use it as a propaganda because they considered ourselves very barbarous, uncivilized people. So Indian historiographists or Indian, historians, what they have done, they have just eulogized our, indigenous culture, our history, especially they focus. So I mean, they could have done it with any age, like Maurya age or any other age. Why Gupta was chosen only? There may be some reason, or there is something special about it. Why only Gupta age when we, talk about ancient India?
So, firstly, Kirti, thank you for your support. And secondly, I think it was because it was the need of time. So, when we were fighting Britishers, or when there was a need to uh, raise or to fuel in the nationalist sentiments in the Indian people, I think something very substantial was needed, and that's why they chose to glorify the history. Now, again, Ashoka is also considered as a great ruler in Indian history, and we can't say that he was not at all glorified. But again, there was something to tarnish his image, that is that before he changed his ways, before he changed his patterns, he was involved in a lot of bloodshed, the blood baths, and maybe it was something which people did not favor that time, or just to sideline these things, maybe those periods were not considered. Now there are so many South Indian dynasties as well, which had made lot of achievement in the field of culture and art, but I think because of the popularity of, as you mentioned, Samudragupta and the North Indian kingdoms, and I think there was also when we talk about history today, we say that there is a biased sentiment that South Indian history is not uh, adequately represented as compared to North Indians or as compared to Mughal history. So it was maybe because of that thing that the historians specifically mentioned, or they chose to specifically mention or glorify Gupta period more. I won't say that other kings or other dynasties were not glorified, but they chose to glorify Gupta period more as compared to other dynasties.
But I think that there are certain other dimensions also. Apart from if we talk about, the political lineage or whatever political achievements they have made. I just have, I was going through one of the paper by a scholar that why Gupta age should be considered golden age. Then he believed that because there are remarkable achievement in different spheres. See, first thing that in the field of this particular mathematics, we have scholars like Aryabhat who told us that Earth is a flat and different other concepts. So that should also like a new kind of enlightenment people had in this particular age, and that is why there are certain things which is very different from other ages. And there was an overall prosperity. Even Chinese traveler Fahian in the court of Chandragupta II, when he visited, he also noted a marvelous contribution in different aspects of the society. So he just said that prosperity, there was no external invasion, everything was settled, so it was a golden age. Even foreigners they have accounted. Then should we always we have kind of tendency that we should have the acceptance of the West or the British, only then we will be recognized. Does it necessary to do it always?
No, it's not at all necessary that we need the validation of the Western people and then only we can, or we should glorify our history. That is not necessary. Agreed. But it was not only in the period of Gupta, but also in the period of Ashoka or Harshvardhan that there were foreign visitors and who have mentioned a lot about that era or that period. And now, as you mentioned, that there was no foreign invasion, and I think it has nothing to do with the internal system or the maintenance of India. It was maybe because of the turbulence that was happening in the northeastern region of India, which which for a certain period of time did not caused to any foreign invasions. So this is my point of view.
Fine, Pratisha. Okay, so if someone want to add any point, or we can turn it in a discussion too. Like we can talk about different other, aspects of this particular topic. So, do you want to, have any insight you can put on? Like Neelu has joined recently, Ekta and Sarah, Sonam, Saurabh, Shivangi Pandey. You can also put your views.
I had this one thing in my mind. For example, if there are 10 students in a class, there is to be comparison, and one of them would be declared as the topper. No matter if this student is all full fledged in all qualities or not. Similarly, if we divide India's history into several ages, and then one of the age has to be put at the pinnacle. And when we look at Gupta age, the overall thing is better from all the ages. Like in some ages the administration is better, or in others the architecture is better, or in others the people are more prosperous. As we talk about the South Indian kingdoms, it is, yes, I agree that South India has been always put away from the history of India. But looking it on a deeper note, we find that South Indian kingdoms were limited to just a small part of India, but the expanse of Gupta Empire was like way far more than them. And as far as the position of women is concerned, I wanted to add just this one point that I read somewhere. Samudragupta's cavalry consisted of the first women regiment of India, and even his he had the first, I believe he made the first navy of India, and women officers were put there. Also, I admit that the Das Pratha and all those things had started to emerge into India's history during the Gupta age. But there are shortcomings to each and everything. Like if we see the Ashokan age or the Akbar era or anything of them, Gupta era in a complete sense is far superior than them. And maybe this is the reason that since one of the eras had to be declared that this one is the best in the whole history of India. And this does not mean that it is full-fledgedly all super flowers thing, but this and therefore they declared that Gupta era, yes, among all other eras is superior, no matter it is completely not super flowers. Maybe this, I don't know, I just had this in my mind.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Excellent. You have just put your insight. Thanks a lot. Okay, someone want to say or counter question, Sarah? Or anyone want to add some points to it? You are most welcome.
So, Sarah, first of all, you put forward your points fantastically. So, kudos to that. But what I'd like to say that firstly, we are not comparing, I guess, the Akbar period here because they obviously are considered the outsiders who came in and ruled India. And secondly, if we have to declare a certain period only as a golden period, why not to declare Vedic period as one? I mean, why do we have to pick up a dynasty and say that, yeah, it was the golden or the supreme most thing that had happened in India? Why is there a need to put someone as the best person of the class? We can simply say, yeah, all were almost equal, or they had synonymous achievements. If we put something as the best, then obviously other things are considered firstly less than it. And when we you say that this is the golden period, that then you say that nothing can beat it, nothing can be better than that. And when we put something as at the top or at the pinnacle, then we compare that whatever achievements which were made in that period and what were the shortcomings were. Shortcomings was infinitesimally less. That's why we say that, okay, all by saying that all over achievement, this particular thing is the golden. We can say that it is at the top of it tops everything else. But whatever the shortcomings of that period were, it was not very less. It's just that maybe it is not accurately mentioned in our history. So I think this we cannot ignore. And okay, that's it.
Okay, Pratiksha, then I think in shortcomings, we have two specifically, we have only 2 points. First is like the condition of women, it was not very well. Even Sati, for the, first case of Sati was initiated during this period specifically. Second thing, the condition of untouchables, or what we call as Shudra, it was not very well. So that I think it was the case in almost every age. In the later Vedic period, even in Rig Vedic period, we have not, the Shudras, they were not allowed to read Vedas. So that was always there. But I think that, yes, do you want to say something? You can.
Yeah, the two shortcomings that you mentioned, I think they are the most substantial ones in the Indian history. If you go through the history in totality, these are the two shortcomings, or these are the main reasons why we say that our history has bled, because these are the two stratas of a society which suffered a lot during each period, during each eras. And that's why we have affirmative actions today to improve the wrongs that was done in the past. We do not have that for Yadavs or someone else's. I mean, you basically have that for women and for Shudras or the outcasted people, right? And secondly, the thing that you mentioned about Rig Vedas. So in early Vedic period, yeah, I understand that in later Vedic period, that the caste system, it had become rigid. The class differentiation had become rigid. It started becoming rigid. It was not that very rigid. The process had begun. But in the early Vedic period, the caste system was not rigid. I mean, there were some lines you mentioned. There were some lines initially where you find the mention that the several people of same family were engaged in several other works, which later on were distinguished on the basis of castes. So I
So
think that's why
Pratiksha,
these
I
two
think
shortcomings.
yeah, these kind of shortcomings, I mean, whenever we talk about society, then we have to, just consider different strata of the society, as you have mentioned. So can we not say that, like, our hunting gathering society, or during the time of a stone age, the society was much more better because it was more egalitarian society. There was no any kind of discrimination. All these things, all sort of things are happening. But my point of view is like that, I just actually am not a debater here, but I just want to put my opinion here on this platform. Like, I just was going through a line in the economic survey. What was written that the optimum is not always equal. So if we focus on that aspect, like we want optimum solution to our most of the problems. So if we look at this, then in approaching these problems in an egalitarian way would not be always possible. If we look at different other spheres, like in the case of religion, even Mahabharata and Ramayana, these kind of texts got finally compiled during Gupta age. In the field of science and technology, people, there are different myths. There were different flaws in the society, like the earth is not flat, or sorry, the earth is flat, it is not round. It got cleared. People came to know about geographical, different other concepts like latitude, longitude, these kind of concept. Even Fahian has, as I have already told, he mentioned that our society, or the society at the time of Gupta, was very, very prosperous. Most of the people were rich. So just considering the problem of women, Shudra, which was always in different, in all of the ages, should we not say that no, it is golden age? Because as Sarah has mentioned, that we have to consider one of the age. Even British historian, they have done so. They call their middle age as the dark age. That we accept. But even many of believe that no, it was not a dark age. So these kind of myths, and it's all about perspective. Do we not think that?
Because there were no what do we say? There were no substantial additions made in the field of science or arts. according to my understanding. And secondly, yes, I agree with you that with whatever information that we have, if we have to put something on that pedestal, yeah, we can put Gupta there. But again, how much do we know about the South Indian history? I mean, I do not consider myself a very good history student, but whatever information that is provided to us in our today's textbooks or the history that we talk about, I think there are so many other dynasties whose histories are still lost, and people are still working on that. So until and unless we know the whole truth, considering one age as a golden age is kind of being biased, is what I think.
Yeah, sure. I got you. Okay, so anyone else want to say something on this particular point? Like what I and Pratiksha have made. If you have any question, you can ask. Sonam, Neelu, Kirti, Rashmi, Sara, Saurav.
हाँ प्रेरणा, मुझे इसमें एक ऐड करना है पॉइंट कि जैसे ये बात हो रही है कि एक टाइम पीरियड को तो हम लोगों को मानना ही चाहिए कंपेयर करके, लेकिन फिर इसमें ये भी तो चीज है ना कि अगर वो उतना परफेक्ट नहीं है तो हम उसको गोल्डन एज की तरह क्यों बोल रहे हैं? हम ये कहें ना कि हाँ ये इस स्फेयर में है बेहतर, ये भी तो एक तरीका है कहने का। और ऐसा तो नहीं, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता, पर उसको पूरा ओवरऑल करके एक मतलब महान दिखाना कि ये ऐसा था, ये चीज सही नहीं है। क्योंकि अगर इसको एक बहुत सिंपल एग्जांपल भी नहीं कि कोई बिजनेसमैन है और मतलब उसने कंपनी खोली है और बहुत सारे लोगों को जॉब्स भी दी हैं, पर अगर उसने मतलब अपने पैसे का यूज करके बहुत सारे लोगों का मर्डर भी करा है और इस तरीके का भी इन्वॉल्व रहा है, तो फिर हम ये तो नहीं कहेंगे ना कि अरे इतने लोगों को उसने जॉब दी है तो ये परफेक्ट हो गया यार, इतने लोगों को गरीबों को सहायता दी। हाँ दी है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है कि वो परफेक्ट हो गया, है कमियां उसके अंदर अलग अलग स्फेयर में अगर हम लोग देखें। तो ये भी तो एक चीज है ना कि बिल्कुल परफेक्ट नहीं है तो कहना ठीक नहीं है, ये एक चीज है।
बट कीर्ति, मेरा एक सवाल है। लाइक अब जैसे बहुत सारे इंडेक्सेस निकलते हैं, लेट्स से वर्ल्ड हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स, तो अब जिस जो भी कंट्री उस इंडेक्स में टॉप करता है, कैन वी से कि उस कंट्री में सारे लोग खुश होंगे, बट स्टिल दैट इज रैंक्ड वन। तो उसी तरह से हमें भी तो कोई एक एज को मानना पड़ेगा ना कि ये बाकी मतलब और फील्ड में, क्योंकि हम जब कंपेयर करते हैं, कोई भी ऐसा इंडेक्स बनाते हैं, तो उसके अंदर बहुत सारे सब कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं, और उन सभी पैरामीटर्स को जब हम सम करते हैं, समेशन ऑफ ऑल दिस, देन वी कैन से, so like that we can also say that no, this is the golden age, because as I have given, let's say already Denmark, Sweden, these kind of country, they topped, like this is the most happiest, Norway, like this kind of country. तो ये ऐसा जरूरी है क्या कि वहां पे सारे ही लोग खुश हैं, बट स्टिल दे आर गेटिंग रैंक वन? देन व्हाट अबाउट दिस?
हाँ बट उसमें ये भी तो है ना, जैसे हैप्पीनेस का इंडेक्स है तो हम लोगों को ये देखना है कि हाँ हैप्पीनेस में वो है बेहतर, तो उससे हम लोगों को सीख सकते हैं, बेहतर कर सकते हैं। लेकिन ये भी तो चीज है ना, ऐसा नहीं हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स में वो बढ़िया है तो हम उनसे सब कुछ सीखने लगे कि लो ये भी सीखें, वो भी सीखें, हर चीज सीखें। ये
Also, Prerna, the what you mentioned about happiness index or the today's contemporary index, whichever we consider, उसके लिए हमारे पास एक अच्छा खासा सैम्पल साइज है, ठीक है। द पीपल हु आर मेकिंग दोज इंडेक्स आर नॉट डिवाइडेड इन देयर ओपिनियंस, अगर हैं भी तो दे समहाउ फिगर दैट आउट। बट अगर आप हिस्ट्री पे जाओगे तो द ओनली प्रूफ दैट वी हैव और द ओनली थिंग्स दैट वी हैव आइदर इट इज़ रिटन हिस्ट्री और द फिजिकल एविडेंसेस दैट वी हैव, राइट। और जब आप रिटन हिस्ट्री पे जाते हो तो उसमें देर आर लॉट ऑफ ओपिनियंस दैट डू नॉट अग्री दैट गुप्ता पीरियड वॉज अ गोल्डन एज। तो हम कैसे डिनाई कर सकते हैं कि जो भी सब्सटेंशियल एविडेंसेस के ऊपर उन्होंने ये कहा है कि इट वॉज नॉट अ गोल्डन एज इज लेस देन द पीपल हु हैव सपोर्टेड इट और दे हैव क्लेम्ड दैट टू बी अ गोल्डन एज। ये भी तो हमारे पास एक प्रॉब्लम है ना कि उस समय जो किस तरीके से उन्होंने उसको शॉर्टन किया, उसको कंक्लूड किया, हाउ दे अपॉइंटेड कि हाँ है कि नहीं है। तो उसके लिए हमारे पास कोई सब्सटेंशियल एविडेंस है नहीं, और जो हमारे पास हैं और उस बेसिस पे जब हम कंपेयर करते हैं तो जो शॉर्ट कमिंग्स है दे आर नॉट नेग्लेक्ट, वी कैन नॉट नेग्लेक्ट देम। तो इफ़ यू सी, जैसे कि बहुत सारा यू हैव मेंशन्ड अबाउट डार्क एज, राइट। तो एवरी क्लाउड हैज़ अ सिल्वर लाइनिंग, वी कैन अग्री टू दैट। तो हर एक सिचुएशन में देयर आर गोइंग टू बी सम पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट्स, तो उसकी वजह से हम नहीं कहेंगे ना बिकॉज देयर आर टू गुड एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ इट, टू पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट्स, इसलिए ओवरऑल नेगेटिव नहीं है। मतलब देयर कैन बी अ गुड डिबेट ऑन दैट कि अगर हर एक चीज़ में पॉजिटिव भी होगा नेगेटिव भी होगा, बट देन वी कंपेयर इट कि ठीक है कौन किस हद तक बेहतर है। तो हम मेरे ख्याल से हिस्ट्री अभी
आई थिंक द पॉजिटिव थिंग्स दे हैव, आई मीन मतलब जो पॉजिटिव है वो ज्यादा है इफ वी टॉक अबाउट दिस पर्टिकुलरली गुप्ता एज। लाइक अब जैसे आपने बात की बहुत सारे अदर जो है कॉन्सेप्ट्स को आप ने रखा यहाँ पर, दैट इज रियली वेरी अप्रिशिएबल. एंड जस्ट आई वांट टू से लाइक टुडे जस्ट लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल. लाइक आपने एविडेंसेस के बारे में कहा, तो वी हैव डिफरेंट आर्कियोलॉजिकल एविडेंसेस. Because I was just going through one of my chapter, there it was mentioned the iron pillar at Mehrauli, Delhi. I think it was creation of the Gupta age, for which we are taking very pride. Like, oh wow, that's a marvelous creation. So I think these kind of things should not be neglected also.
So yeah, I've agreed to your point कि अभी तक it is existing and it has not even a single patch of rust on it. I understand that, but again we said na Gupta period can be claimed as a golden age in the field of art and architecture or even culture if we go in that, if we want to talk it in that way. But overall claiming that it was a golden period, I think that is debatable, and it is exactly why we are debating today. क्योंकि everyone has their own points of view. The negative or the shortcomings, according to me, are superior than are superior enough to, I won't say overweigh or outweigh the positive aspects, but yeah, they are equally important. And for you, the achievements, whatever were made in the Gupta period, they are somewhere outweighing the negative points of it. So I think the debate is based on the same things, right? Ki we are criticizing it on the based of the achievements, the negative points and the positive points. And for me, the negative points are substantial. For you, the positive are outweighing the negative ones. So I think that's what.
Yes, yes, exactly. I think it's also about the perspective, like, the spectacle we are looking through, because we can't say anything as completely black or white. It's gray. Everything has different shades of, black or white, whatever. Okay, so I think it was a wonderful discussion among all of us. And anyone want to add something? I just request.
Yeah, Prerna, I mean, before anyone else speaks, I think I'm going to take this opportunity and to mention that we are still in the phase where we are interpreting history right now. So we cannot have any rigid opinion about any particular period. Yes, everything or every opinion should be open to interpretations and open for criticism and discussion. And I think today's debate was based on this, was an example of the same thing.
Exactly. History, as we say that India is still a nation in making, still we should, just conclude like history is still in the process of making. Fine. So I think it was a wonderful discussion. Everyone, those who are present, they have just put their points, like Kirti, Sara, Pratiksha. Thanks to all of you who have joined today. And for those who have attended it for the first time, especially as listener and a spectator, you are most welcome for the next time. And we hope as a debating society that you should be prepared. There are some rules and regulations which are always given in the PDF, and this entire session is also recorded. So you can just view your performances again and again on our YouTube channel. So that's all. Thank you everyone for joining today.